Hi guys, I'm Dr. Muhammad Aurangzai. I hope you are in a good health and you find this lecture interesting. So we'll talk about taste sensation today. We'll go through a few slides and you'll know what we are going to know about taste. So the objectives will be that you should know about the site of taste, what is the taste pathway, and few abnormalities of the taste, which we will discuss as we go along. So first of all, you need to know how the taste sensation works or how does it function. So we'll start with the lecture. So as you all very well know that the tongue is the main site of taste sensation. You can see mucous membrane contain numerous papillae which increases the surface area to mucosa, and you all know you have taste buds which are localized in papilla. So we have you can see the structure of the tongue. You have anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3. As you can see, I'll move the cursor. You can see the anterior 2/3 is up to here. This is the anterior 2/3 of the tongue, and this is sulcus terminalis, which divides the tongue into anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3. Majority of your taste buds or taste receptors are over here in the anterior 2/3 of the tongue, and the posterior 1/3 also contain few taste buds which are located in walls of papilla, and taste sensation is also the taste buds are also present in epiglottis and some part of the pharynx. So you have various types of papilla like circumvallate papilla, fungiform papilla, foliate papilla, and filiform papilla. The filiform papilla are the only one which does not contain any kind of taste buds. So you should know that, note it down, that even in MCQs you could be asked about it, that the filiform papilla does not have any kind of taste buds. So the most abundant of all the papilla is fungiform papilla. You can see they are located mostly on the anterior 2/3 of the tongue, and they carry the taste sensations. It is not like you don't have to know that all the tastes are being carried by all papilla. It's not that a particular area of a tongue will carry a particular sensation. It is not like that. All your tongue area can detect all taste sensations. So talking about the fungiform papilla, you can see they are bright red flat dot like structures, and they are mostly located on the anterior 2/3 along the edges, dorsum, and the tip, and they contain about 8 to 10 taste buds. Next is circumvallate papilla. They are mostly on the sulcus terminalis, as you call it, this area which divides the tongue into anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3, and it contains about 200 taste buds in each papilla. In circumvallate papilla you have. Circumvallate papilla are mostly located on the sulcus terminalis, which divides the tongue into anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3. So they are present over there, and they are also concerned with taste. The next in the list are foliate papilla, and they also contain numerous taste buds, and they are mostly located on posterolateral surface of the tongue, interior to circumvallate papilla. So they are also containing numerous taste buds. So I told you in the beginning that the filiform papilla are a conical projection. They are present, they do not contain any taste buds. This is very important, but their role is to break up the food particles, so called mechanical papilla, because they break up the food, but it doesn't have any taste buds on it. So filiform papilla is the papilla that they don't contain any kind of taste, but they are important in breaking up the food. So now you have known the types of papilla, that they are fungiform papilla, which are abundant on the anterior two-third, which we talked about. These were the fungiform papilla. And then we talked about circumvallate papilla, we talked about the foliate papilla, and filiform, which doesn't contain any taste buds. So far I hope everything is very clear and it's very easy, and now we'll head to further to discuss further more points about the taste sensation. So taste pathway is very important. You need to know that the interior two-thirds of the tongue is supplied by the branch of a facial nerve, which is called as chordae tympani, and from there on, and the posterior one-third is supplied by glossopharyngeal nerve, which is the 9th cranial nerve, and then the part of the epiglottis and wall of the pharynx are being supplied by the 10th cranial nerve, which is the vagus nerve. So we have 3 cranial nerves which are involved in the taste sensation. Mostly from the interior two-third, it's facial, which is 7th cranial nerve. From the posterior one-third, it's glossopharyngeal, which is 9th cranial nerve. And then from the epiglottis and wall of the pharynx, it's 10th cranial nerve, which is carrying the taste sensation. So in the taste pathway, we have first order neurons, second order neurons, and third order neuron. We'll discuss it as we go along. So the first order neurons, as I told you, that the taste buds of the posterior one-third of the tongue was by a glossopharyngeal nerve with cell bodies in the superior and inferior ganglion of this nerve. From the taste bud on the pharyngeal aspect of the tongue, epiglottis, hard and soft palate, or vagus nerve, cell bodies in the superior and inferior ganglion of the nerve. All the first order neuron terminate in the nucleus of tractus solitarius. This is a nucleus which is located in the pons and somewhere in the medulla. So the first order neuron goes to the nucleus of tractus solitarius. So all the taste sensations that are being carried from the tongue, from the anterior two-third, it's chordae tympani, which is a branch of facial nerve, which will be joined by lingual nerve, which is a branch of trigeminal nerve. You need to know that the pain, touch, and temperature are being carried by trigeminal nerve, which are the general sensation from the tongue, which are not carried by facial nerve. A facial nerve will just carry the taste sensation from the interior two-third of the tongue, and they will all first order neuron will terminate, as you can see in the slide, in the nucleus of tractus solitarius. And then the second order neuron from the nucleus of tractus solitarius, the diagram is not very clear. They will go, they will cross midline to join medial lemniscus, and then they will go and terminate in the ventral posterior medial nucleus of the thalamus, and they will terminate along with 5th cranial nerve. So you should remember the second order neuron termination point, which is ventro-posterior medial nucleus of the thalamus. So first order neuron came from the tongue, and then they terminated in the tractus solitarius nucleus, and then from the tractus solitarius, the second order neuron, they have terminated in VPM nucleus of the thalamus, ventro-posterior, along with the fibers from the 5th nerve. And then the third order neuron from the VPM nucleus will terminate in the inferior part of postcentral gyrus, which is also called as taste cortex. The taste pathway, you should know, you should remember that it is very interlinked with olfaction, the sense of smell. So if you have loss of smell, you will definitely have problem with the taste sensation, because this pathway goes into various areas, like it can goes into hippocampus, so you can have memory of the taste. It can go to amygdala. It terminates also in the, like it is mentioned here, in the inferior part of the postcentral gyrus, in insular area, which is very deep to the temporal area. So the taste sensation has a very strong connection with olfaction also. So you should remember that if you have any loss of smell, you will have problem with taste also. Like in the recent pandemic, you can see the patients having of coronavirus are having loss of taste sensation, and that is the reason behind it is that they have problem with sense of smell. So if you have any problem with sense of smell, you will have loss of taste also. Talk about various substances that produce taste sensation. You are well aware of the few, like you know about the sweet taste, which is produced by sugars, glucose, and they usually activate the G protein receptors, which help in then which ultimately result in action potentials generating and generation in the corresponding cranial nerves. So you have sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami or umami, whatever you call it. So you have got 5 basic taste sensations. So sweet is produced by the sugars, salt, you know about salt, sour is by acids, bitter, you can you are well aware of the bitter also, but if you don't know, then you should know that quinine, which is a tablet used for malaria, caffeine, which you use mostly in the coffees, nicotine, which cigarette smokers are well aware of the nicotine, but they haven't, I guess, tasted it, so it will be better in taste. Umami, it is glutamate, usually used in cooking material. And if you remember soya sauce, if somebody has tasted that, so it tastes like a umami. So you can touch any part of the tongue while checking for these taste sensation. Like sweet taste can be felt in any part of the tongue because the taste buds contain various papilla or various they have various parts which can each part detecting different tastes. So it's not like the tip of the tongue will determine a certain particular type of a taste, rather it will detect any kind of material that you put on the tip of the tongue. You will be able to detect what kind of taste it has, like it has sweet, salty, sour, or a bitter taste. So these are the 5 basic taste which we use to check in our labs by asking the subject to close his eyes and then applying a certain material on the tip of his tongue and asking him to detect what kind of taste it was. Like for the sweet, we used to use sugars. For the salty, we used to have NaCl, sodium chloride. Sour, usually we use light acids like lemon. You can check that bitter. For bitter, we have caffeine. And umami, we usually don't check in our lab, but you should know that it tastes like soy sauce in your home, which is used in cooking. So these are the 5 basic tastes that you have for. Briefly, you should know how does the transduction takes place. Usually the dissolved substances act on the microvilli, depolarizes cells directly or via second messengers, and develop receptor potential and generate action potentials. Like in case of the sweet taste, it usually act through G protein coupled receptors, and it help in generation of action potential, which is being flown through the cranial nerves, which we have already discussed, that the anterior 2/3 it's chordae tympani, which is a branch of facial nerve, and from the posterior 1/3 it's glossopharyngeal nerve, and from the epiglottis and various areas of the pharynx, its 10th cranial nerve. So you should know various factors influencing the taste sensation. Like area of stimulation is very important. Similarly, temperature of the testants, age of the person. Female, like they are more sensitive to sweet and salt. And adaptation, like if you have already known that taste, so you will be better adapted to that. Interaction between the taste producing substances, effect of taste modifying proteins. Similarly, abnormalities of our taste sensations. So these are the various influences that we have on taste sensation. Now this is important for you from the Viva point of view, that various abnormalities of the taste sensation. Agasia means, usually in medical terminologies means absence of taste sensation. There could be various causes for absence of taste sensation, like a lesion of the mandibular division of trigeminal nerve, lesion of the facial nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve, certain drugs. You should just know the drugs. If you don't remember the name, it's perfectly okay. And there are certain familial dysautonomias which can result in absence of taste sensation. So you should know who agasia means, absence of taste sensation, and it's easy to memorize the few causes. Like you can say the lesion of the nerves which carry the taste sensations, you can say drugs, you can say familial causes. So you should remember it. And then hypogasia means diminished taste sensation, and dysgasia means disturbed sense of taste, like it occur in temporal lobe syndromes. And there are certain selective taste blindness, like there are like in certain condition you have increased threshold for bitter taste. So it is familial, like it you have selective taste blindness for certain particular type of taste. So hypogasia means diminished taste sensation, dysgasia means disturbed sense of taste which occur in temporal lobe syndrome. In the end, I would like to say thanks.